What is up, everybody? I'm NoLexGiven, and today we are going to be talking about Gamma Lab in Marvel Snap. That is the brand new featured location in the game. So I built this deck to take full advantage of this featured location. After turn 3, transform all cards here into the Hulk, and this is what I thought would be the most synergistic deck that we could build around it. You'll notice that this is a Patriot deck. Now, we aren't just playing these Patriots because they're giving +2/+2 to our Hulks, though that is a nice bonus, but rather, I felt that the Patriot deck actually has a lot of flexible slots into it, and I've been playing around with it a lot recently, just outside of this featured location the past day or so. And I think that basically there's just slots in the deck that the Patriot deck really doesn't care about, and so we can use those slots to really try to play some synergistic things that work with Gamma Lab. And we'll take a look at the deck here now. I will also go over, after I go over the deck, some replacement cards that you could throw in if you are missing some of these things. I think that this is somewhat a budget-friendly deck, though you are probably going to need Patriot, which is a pool 3 card, and you are also probably also going to need Mystique. The rest of the pool 3 cards you can sub out as needed, like you don't need Mysterio, Debrii, Juggernaut, Magik. They're just nice things to have, but if you don't, I will go over some replacements at the end. Pretty straightforward stuff. So Patriot's going to bump up anything that doesn't have an ability, which will include the Hulk. We're not going to play the Hulk, but we are going to try to make some Hulks by filling up some of the lanes, like with Squirrel Girl. That'll add these squirrels to your other locations. Mysterio, the illusions, oops, I don't know why that happened. The illusions from Mysterio do not have an ability, so we'll get that bonus from the Patriot as well. And then Debrii will also throw some rocks around, both for yourself and for your opponent. So typically with Debrii, you'll want to put that in the Gamma Lab location, otherwise you're giving your opponent a rock, which will turn into a Hulk. But you can also play Debrii later in the game to fill up your opponent's Gamma Lab, so that way they can't Shang-Chi ya. Talk about Shang-Chi next. I guess we could take a look at the Hulk. I mean, everybody knows what the Hulk is. This is one of the first cards that you get in the game. Just a 6 mana, 11 power unit. And when everything is a 6/11, Shang-Chi is pretty good. If both you and your opponent have 3 Hulks, and you play Shang-Chi, you're going to win that location, unless they also Shang-Chi. So sometimes you even want them to have a 4th Hulk, which means you could give them a 4th Hulk with Debrii, and then just plan on Shang-Chiing that because the location is filled. So because so much of this location revolves around Shang-Chi on that final turn, I've also put armor in the deck, and I think armor can be an interesting tech card, but it's also really good if, say, you get 3 Hulks and your opponent only gets 1 or 2, then you'll want to throw down armor in the subsequent turns to fill up the location. You can also just use armor as an early drop in the game. Apologies, my camera is totally bugging out here. Looks like we're good though. You can also just use armor on the early turns of the game to turn it into a Hulk, so that's totally fine too. To round out the deck, we also have Juggernaut. So the way that the Gamma Lab works is that after turn 3, all cards there are going to turn into the Hulk. And this is when I was saying, like, you might want to use armor if your opponent only has 1 Hulk and you have 3. One of the ways that you can get yourself into a scenario like that is by playing Juggernaut at the Gamma Lab on turn 3. That will move all of your opponent's cards out of the location, and then Juggernaut itself will turn into a Hulk. So that can be a lot of fun, and definitely isn't a card that you would normally play in the Patriot deck, but is a card you can play today because of the featured location. Some of the more normal cards in the deck are just going to be Shocker, which is just a 2-3. I'm specifically playing Shocker for how it fits on the curve. I could also see, well, I'll talk about the replacements in a second. And then I also just have the Thing, which is just a 4-cost card. Maybe this would be better as Cyclops, which is just a 3/4 no abilities. That way you could potentially throw it into the Gamma Lab, but I think that the Thing is good enough, and it's good to get some other buddies clobbering up there with the Hulk, clobbering and smashing, and I've got the Thing variant, so might as well play it, right? I'm also playing Magik. Magik does a lot for the deck, and this is, oh, again, don't know why that happens, but that turns the location into Limbo, which gives you a 7th turn on the game. Now, this isn't going to interact at all with the featured location, but it is really, really powerful with Patriot, Onslaught, and Mystique. So we've also got Onslaught here, which doubles your ongoing effects at this location. Obviously, the main idea is to use that with Patriot, and it just effectively acts as another Patriot pumping up your other lanes. However, if you play Magik, or if you find any other way to discount your cards, you could potentially use Wave or Psylocke, or just having a location that either makes your cards cheaper or gives you extra energy. What you do is you play Onslaught first, and then you use Mystique to copy Onslaught. Those are going to multiply against each other and say that any ongoing effect happens 8 times at this location. So that the idea is basically Magik on turn 5, Onslaught on turn 6, and then on turn 7, drop Mystique plus Patriot plus maybe Squirrel Girl, or maybe just nothing in this version of the deck. And then all of your characters with no abilities will be getting plus 16, because it's going to be 8 times the 2 of the Patriot. So that's just a little combo, these 4 cards that work out pretty well together, that are like more of the traditional Patriot deck, that is, I think, like, this is kind of like the core of the deck. You can play it without Magik for sure, but Magik is just the easiest card to get that off the ground. I have also seen some versions with Wave, and then of course if you don't have either, you don't play either, and you just hope that there's either some ways to cheapen the Onslaught. There's a few locations that will make it cheaper or give you excess energy, like I said, or the other thing that you can just do sometimes is just go Patriot, then Mystique. Mystique's going to copy Patriot, and then you play Onslaught, doubling them both up. So instead of giving plus 4, you're giving plus 8, which is still a pretty good bonus, especially if you have some squirrels and other things running around. So some other variations that you could make on the deck that I think are pretty good. Let's exit out of here. So I think that if we take a look at the deck, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 cards that you might not have. Mysterio, Magik, Debrii, and Juggernaut. The rest are from pools 1 and 2, or they're Patriot, Mystique, which, like I said, aren't really as replaceable. You could maybe get away with Mystique, but at that point, if you don't have Mystique, you're probably cutting Onslaught and Magik, and you'd probably just be better off not playing this deck, to be totally honest. However, if you do have those and don't have some of the other stuff, some things that, I guess you might have the Wasp. I don't have the Wasp, but the Wasp is another interesting card that could probably go in here, maybe even over the Thing. It might just be cheap enough that it is worth playing the Wasp in this deck. One thing that I think could be cool with this featured location is Nightcrawler. The reason that I think Nightcrawler is good is because you can play it on turn 1, not knowing where the Gamma Lab is going to show up, and then you can move it over into the Gamma Lab, which I think is just a cool way to play with this current featured location. Squirrel Girl and Mysterio take the mystery out of it all, because you are just playing to all 3 locations, so no matter where the lab shows up, if it's not that first location, if it's either of those second 2, you will be prepared for it. So that's kind of the idea behind those 2. One thing to note is that Mr. Sinister does not currently work with the featured location. So Mr. Sinister creates a clone with the same power of Mr. Sinister to the location, which will actually give you a 2-power Hulk because it will remember the power of the Mr. Sinister even after it turns into a Hulk. So that's kind of a weird interaction to pay attention to. Other things that you can add to the deck, you can just play the 1-cost or 3-cost card with no abilities, which are going to be Misty Knight and Cyclops. Those are just fine things that you could play. You could also play Abomination. I don't think that it's horrible in the deck, but I would stay away from Hulk. And I think that I would also stay away from Doctor Doom, at least while Gamma Lab is the featured location. But one other card that I wanted to talk about while we are in this section of the video is Cosmo. Cosmo, I think, is a pretty good tech card. It might even be better than Armor. Cosmo can just be a really good tech card against a bunch of other decks. Notably, it is also going to be stopping Shang-Chi at the featured location, as well as a host of a bunch of different other things that people might be able to do. So that's definitely something cool. I could also, in some capacity, see a world where you run Killmonger in the featured location, but that's probably getting a little bit away from the Patriot of it all. Just you play Killmonger on turn 3 in Gamma Lab to destroy your opponent's 1-cost things that are there. That's just like another idea. And then I have also seen some people talking about Polaris, and the idea being that you want to fill your opponent's location with the in the Gamma Lab. You want to give them 4 Hulks so that way they can't Shang-Chi you. And this gets like a little bit risky. However, it does have a little bit more play to it when you are playing Magik in your deck, because Magik is just going to dig you 1 card deeper, which can help you to find the Shang-Chi at the end of the game. So I do also like Magik in this version of the deck for that capacity. Let's take a look now at the deck in action and see what we can do with the Gamma Lab. So we've got Patriot in the opening hand plus Onslaught. Both of those things are good. And we are going to be taking a look at the first location, Gamma Lab. I don't have any spread cards for this early turn, but I do have a lot of my combo, and I love to snap basically whenever I find the Patriot, so I'm going to go ahead and snap on the first turn. That'll just double our cubes. There is also a weird thing when you were playing with Magik, that typically the wins are pretty telegraphed, more so than in a normal game, which just makes it really tough to get that end of game doubling cube. We did find Mysterio here now. That's pretty good. I'll probably just drop Mysterio into this lane so that way we don't lose the 5 from Hala, though we could just lose the 5. We are going to have Patriot plus maybe Onslaught. Do we just bank on finding the Mystique? You know what? That's fine. Let's destroy our 5 and just spread our zeros out in the other 2 lanes. That's going to make the Hala a pretty tempting location for my opponent to poop on here by playing something there. We could throw Armor into Hala, though I think I'd just like to turn Armor into a Hulk. Let's see, do we find Squirrel Girl, though? That would be a really interesting draw. No, we're going to find Juggernaut. So yeah, I'm going to go for the Juggernaut into the Gamma Lab. We could also play Juggernaut in Hala. Juggernaut definitely showing why it's a pretty versatile card here. But I'm just going to make the other card that they play battle out of here, and then we'll have a Hulk advantage, and we'll armor up from the Hulk advantage. So that's going to be it. My opponent not making any other plays. They're going to have a slightly bigger Hulk, but we're going to have 2 Hulks to their 1. Now, we could drop Armor here right away just to play around Shang-Chi. It's not the craziest idea. But I actually don't mind if a bunch of stuff just goes away as well. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about if I want to like defend this Hala location. I think that I'm fine if everything in Hala blows up. Let's go ahead and play Armor and just pass the turn from here. Next turn we'll play Magik. Hala is going to destroy our Mysterio, but that's kind of what we're looking for here. Just some extra area to play out Onslaught, Patriot, and Mystique in one location. So that's kind of the idea. Now we draw Shang-Chi, opponent with a Mr. Negative. Magik definitely helps them out a little bit. So that's certainly something to consider. But if we can draw Mystique, it just makes this game so tough for our opponent. So I'm going to play Magik here. And I think that's good. This leaves me the opportunity to play Squirrel Girl in the final location on the last turn. So that could be really cool. And then my opponent really going to battle hard for Hala, grabbing not too much and filling the location in a pretty unimpressive way. So I think we could also quite easily battle for Hala, though they are going to have this Atom Warrior here going off, which was definitely part of the idea that they were going for. So we have a 1 in 3 chance to draw Mystique. If that happens, we probably just win on the spot. If not, we might have to battle with like an Iron Man doubling up the Gamma Lab or something else that could be particularly powerful. They're going to go for Devil Dinosaur as another Hulk and then just Ironheart. So just barely winning in this location. We will be able to take it over, I believe, short of an Iron Man finish from my opponent. Unfortunately, we do not find the Mystique. So is +4/+4 to everything here going to be enough? I think we can run it. I think we can run this out and see if we can make it work. We also have to battle for 14 here. So this is 7. We get to add... So this would win in this location. Hold on. This is 11. 11 plus 3. Oh, that's tricky. I guess we do this. Now we're filling this with a bunch of junk. We're only giving this location +4. I don't know if they're going to Iron Man in the empty location or just leave it alone. We didn't draw Mystique, though, so I think that this is fine. We could also just go for... Maybe this is just safer. Go for a win in this location. Oh, you know what? Do I have enough time to undo? I don't think I do. Okay. That, I think, is slightly better. Let's see how this works out. My opponent is going to play a card in Limbo. They're also going to Artem Zola out the Hulk, which gives them a free Hulk plus an Iron Man into Limbo. That's pretty good. So we do lose in Limbo. Did I give ourselves enough power to win in Hala? We are actually tying in the Gamma Lab. The Patriot is going to take it, and then we win by 1. That was a crazy final turn, and I brought it right down to the wire. But we were able to just win with Patriot plus Onslaught there. Pretty crazy win. A lot of math going on at the last second, but I wanted to win Hala by 1 rather than tie it, so that way we could play around the 5 double from Iron Man. Was not considering the Artem Zola against Armor, which just takes one of the cards, doesn't destroy it, and then adds copies to the other location. So that did get pretty scary for a second, but we were able to pull it out by having Hulk advantage and then also patrioting those Hulks. So a pretty good first showing, I think, for the deck. Not exactly the way that we drew it up, but definitely some really fun synergies working out pretty well for us. That was a pretty good showing for the deck. Let's see if we can put something else nice together here. And apologies as well for the lawnmower going off in the background. Hopefully that is not too annoying. Okay, Subterranea. Not great, because it reduces our ability to draw Patriot, but it's not the worst, and we drew the Patriot anyways. I was going to say it's not the worst because if we do draw Patriot, we can at least pump up our rocks compared to our opponent. We'll see if my opponent just throws a rock or two into the Gamma Lab on this turn. That would be pretty funny. If they don't, then we get to Juggernaut the Gamma Lab next turn. And I think drawing Patriot is generally just enough to have me snap. I don't love my other stuff here, but if my opponent doesn't play anything into Gamma Lab or only plays one thing this turn, then I think I will snap. So they play one thing that's going to be a Bucky Barnes, which we will Gamma Labify. And then we get Super Flow. So that's kind of interesting. We don't normally have 4 on this turn, but we drew a rock, so that's actually going to be great for us. I'm going to go ahead and snap off the back of that. And this is going to give us 3 Hulks to my opponent's 1, so a huge Hulk advantage. We just need to draw armor, or hope that they draw Shang-Chi, or hope that they are not playing Shang-Chi. But Juggernaut is going to take both of their rocks out of this location. That is going to bunk the Super Flow, as well as just giving us an extreme Hulk advantage. My opponent's not even going to show us what cards they played this turn. They are just going to throw in the towel right then and there. So there you go. There is the power of Juggernaut in the Gamma Lab. Definitely a really strong turn for us. Monster Metropolis, okay with the thing, and then we have Mysterio, Juggernaut, plus Shang-Chi to win us the Gamma Lab in various capacities. So let's just go Mysterio in Metropolis. That seems good enough. And then we will Juggernaut Gamma Lab next turn, so that'll give us Hulk Supremacy. Is my opponent even going to play a single Hulk, though? That's the question. That is the current question right now. We're going to have 2 Hulks to their 0, which seems pretty strong. That might just be enough to get a concession if they don't have Shang-Chi. I probably should have snapped on my Juggernaut turn. So that was a little bit of a mistake to not do there. But 2 Hulks to my opponent's 0. If we can find an armor, then we have won the Gamma Lab already. Let's see. Show me Hulks. A little bit of lag on that, but that is looking quite good for us. And then our last location is going to be Nova Roma, which allows us to draw into Patriot. So I am clearly snapping here now. Now we have Magik plus Onslaught, Patriot, Mystique. Would love to draw a Squirrel Girl to round that out, but otherwise the rest of our turns are all set in stone here. So I'm just going to play the thing, and even if my opponent can Shang-Chi Gamma Lab, I think we're going to win both of the other 2 locations quite easily. So the thing should battle for the Metropolis. We're going to give this plus 14 or whatever. Though Daredevil a little bit scary. Daredevil could mean that my opponent plays something like Professor X into Nova Roma just to steal that, though they could be losing to the Mysterio Ghost. So that's like a little bit risky for them nonetheless. And we are just going to hope that's what they're not doing with the Daredevil, though certainly a little bit scary. We'll see how that one shakes out. They really only have 1 location to Professor X, but I want to keep this location clean so that way I can Onslaught plus Patriot Mystique in the following turns. Or Onslaught plus Mystique Patriot, rather. They're going to go for something into the Metropolis. That's interesting. And that is going to be Jessica Jones. Okay, so they are leaving Jessica to win the Metropolis. That's going to be pretty big, but not big enough, as we are going to do some nice onslaughting action here. I have snapped already. Okay, I was going to say, I thought my opponent maybe snapped, but we snapped on turn 4. That's right. Okay, then we're going to see Chavez into Nova Roma, and now we should blow them out of the water here. We also draw the Squirrel Girl, so that's really great. My opponent actually has first play. So interestingly here, I mean, we're set up to win Metropolis right now regardless, but if we play Squirrel Girl, then we beat Shang-Chi in Limbo as well. And I think that's worth playing for. Right now, only the Thing is getting the plus 16. But it's enough to win the location. We don't have to win by too much. Their snap, I think, kind of telegraphs Shang-Chi. So Squirrel Girl back to fill up Limbo. I think is just a solid play. Yeah, and we are looking to lose Nova Roma as well. Oh, no. We win Nova Roma currently because we've got this Mysterio getting the plus 16 here. All right, let's battle. Let's see what you got. We are probably going to see a Shang-Chi plus a little bit more action here, but that is totally fine. We still win in Limbo. That's going to surprise them. All right, Sentinel, it's not going to be enough. We are going to have a cosmic victory this game. Mystique to copy Onslaught, and then Patriot to activate 8 times, give everything plus 16, and then let's throw out a Squirrel into the middle location as well. So, oh, and I guess this was a real... Oh, no, it wasn't. Okay, I thought this was the fake Mysterio, but this was the... Well, it's an interesting perspective when you're playing this deck. The illusions are the real Mysterios at some point. Yeah. So this was the real Mysterio, which means that it doesn't get the buff, but just the thing getting pumped up, and then the Squirrel is enough to win in Limbo, and even the illusion wins us in Nova Roma. So really sweet game. That basically showed off everything that this deck is trying to do, including battling for the Gamma Lab, and then having a really good backup plan just in case that doesn't work out. Drawing Patriot off the rip definitely feels pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and just Squirrel Girl into location 3, hoping that we can catch the Gamma Lab. I think that it's good to curve out with this version of the deck. Though when I'm playing Patriot and Gamma Lab is not the featured location, I don't always play the Squirrel Girl on turn 1, and especially you don't need to in a game where you already have Magik. Okay, that definitely makes Juggernaut a really, really good draw next turn. If we draw Juggernaut, and then this does wind up being the Gamma Lab, though, even if it's not Juggernaut, we have Shang-Chi, which is a pretty good turn 4 play, so... Looking pretty good, all things considered. Definitely liking my snap as long as this is Gamma Lab. And I don't know how the math works out, what the chances are that this location becomes the featured location, but we are going to be lucky enough with this one. So could even just decide to turn Patriot into the Gamma Lab. I'm not so sure about that. I think that what I'm going to do is just throw the Patriot in Fisk Tower, plan on magicking the Vault, breaking that open, and then hoping to play Onslaught and such here with the Shang-Chi and the Gamma Lab to take that over. They're not even battling for Gamma Lab supremacy, though, so would certainly have to worry about a Shang-Chi coming out from their side of things in the future. If we find an armor, we will run it out, of course, but we are not going to be so lucky just yet. So let's go ahead and Thing, and I think continue to curve out. We could also play Thing and Fisk Tower. I'm kind of like assuming I'm going to lose Gamma Lab, though. So we'll see. I'm either going to lose it or I'm going to win it, which, you know, I guess I'm not really saying anything there, am I? But playing the Thing there, I guess it would have been an 8 power card, so that could have been interesting. But I'm just assuming the Thing is going to get bigger before the end of the game, right? They go Cable plus Sentinel. Drawing a bunch of stuff. If they cable R... Oh, they can't cable R Shang-Chi. Okay, so that's really good. Oh, we also have Juggernaut to protect against Shang-Chi. That is really, really funny. Well, they could Shang-Chi this turn, but I'm going to Magic. So maintaining priority and using Juggernaut to battle against their Shang-Chi seems really, really funny. We're going to Limbo, open this up, which is good, though they are going to win this location with an Iron Man. We could potentially Shang-Chi into this spot right here. If they drop 4 more cards, it's not unreasonable. Let's go for Onslaught this turn. That's going to give us a little bit more power. And I guess we'll never kill Angela. But there's definitely still a chance here. Are we getting Chi'd right now? It definitely feels like it, but no, not going to get Shang-Chi'd right this second. Sarah is going to activate... They are going to have Bishop be good enough, but we've got priority. So it's not going to quite work out like that. And now we're actually looking to armor up the Gamma Lab And then we have to win Fisk Tower. So it feels like the best way to win Fisk Tower is going to be through Juggernaut, but they're probably going to just fill all of the locations. However, I do still think this is our best bet in terms of winning, and then I'll just throw Mysterio here. That's not going to do enough in Limbo, and it's going to be irrelevant in Gamma Lab. But I think this is our best bet. If they don't completely fill both locations, and how many cards do they have in hand? They do have 6 cards in hand. I think it's pretty likely they fill both locations. But we can't use Shang-Chi to kill Bishop because we have priority right now. So, yeah, let's go for it. Let's send it. Let's see what we can do. Do they fill? And they don't! So, Juggernaut is going to get the win. Armor is going to protect the Gamma Lab, and that is going to be quite a strong way to finish off this game. Maybe I should have put the real Mysterio over into the Gamma Lab too, just to protect against some really big things like Devil Dino, though that's pretty small. Do they have Shang-Chi? They can't, right? Because no, that's too expensive already. So what's their last card? Well, it's not gonna be 37 power. It's just a Sentinel. That is not going to be enough to flip the Devil Dinosaur over. And Juggernaut just getting a win being Juggernaut. So there you go. If you were thinking about replacing Juggernaut with Cosmo, there's another definite reason to just continue to play the Juggernaut. This was kind of an interesting game, but when you get those Hulks off in the early turn and your opponent just ignores the location, you're winning that location by so much, which does actually have some interesting synergy with the Juggernaut, because there's just no way your opponent can win that location in any fair way, and armor cuts off the only unfair way for them to win that location. Should have thrown the Mysterio token over into the Gamma Lab, recognizing that we were juggernauting in 2, but regardless, a really cool game that showed off some interesting interactions with some cards here, and was pretty exciting. Did we have a chance to win this if we drew Mystique? I think that we did. Yeah, if we drew Mystique on this final turn, we could have Mystiqued Armor and then Mysterio right here, throwing another illusion into Limbo, and we would have won that location there as well. So pretty decent odds here, all things considered, if we drew that last card in our deck. Though, oh wait, we couldn't have drawn Mystique because here it was. No, I think that this is not my Mystique. This is my opponent's Mystique, actually. Mine looks a little bit different. So I don't know what they stole from us with Cable, but they did steal something. And that's just still in their hand. But I think that this is not my Mystique, because mine has some cool particle effects and stuff like that coming off of it. Really cool game. That is going to be it for me, though, today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Lux Given. Peace.